Okay, this is Trump tries to reboot the Purge, Bobert's climate change, oopsie, and Francesca versus Piers Morgan by the Damage Report with special hosts John Idarola and Jessica Forentini, the host of the Bitchuanti Room podcast. I'll post a link in the description. This is my reaction.
I'm about to start my intro.
And I actually knew about this last night. Trump's crazy rally in PA. I actually watched
of a hippo.
the Seth, S-E-F,
well, I don't know the nation of
and
origin,
Key
but the nation of,
Media channel, which is a big Trump channel.
Where are you from?
They're about disproving all the conspiracies behind Trump's January 6th claims, his presidency, his actions. But anyway, we're going to back up a little bit so you guys can hear them talk. So we're going to get right back into that here. Here's the Damage Report with John Idarola. My reaction.
Oh, come on. Literally, the second I'm about to start my intro, I hear Francesca say, racist. Because I had misidentified the nation of origin of a hippo. I apologize. It's a little bit racist of me.
You're not racist, John Idarola. Little animal discrimination.
Originally, where are you from? No.
I mean, heaven, obviously.
Thailand. It's just Thailand, yeah. Bouncy pig. Anyway.
Bouncing pig,
We're talking about SNL, obviously.
Good Moodang Monday morning.
Good. It's a dang-tastic Monday, I guess, which sounds a little bit dirty, honestly. But anyway, my head now hurts from laughing. How's it going, Francesca? What's up with you?
Dang-tastic's not dirty.
Not much, man.
John Idarola, if I'm saying that right.
Weekend, you were supporting unions.
Oh, yeah, supporting SEIU 1021. That was great. Shout out to all those workers. Awesome folks. Great
Go,
night.
Francesca.
And yeah, excited for tomorrow night's debate. I'll be streaming live. Right? You know, if you get tired of TYT coverage, come over to youtube.com/FrannyFio, F-R-A-N-I-F-I-O. Stream that.
There was a way to...
Hey, I don't get tired. Okay, but I'm going to come check your channel out.
I'm assuming you're busy.
Shout out to her. I'm going to check your channel out. You put me on the spotlight.
Anyway, listen to both. The brain can process multiple streams of information simultaneously.
That's true, John.
On good authority.
Totally true.
From a guy with Elon Musk's wires in his head. But anyway.
Thank you, John.
Yes,
Thank you. Wires in the head.
Definitely a consideration. Consider, if you get sick of what I'm saying, go to Francesca.
Sick of what you're saying? I'll just check out her channel because she's talking facts just so well over there.
Rare Instagram Live with broadcaster Carrie Champion. We were talking about the WNBA and the election. Cool. We had a lot of fun. That's up as a reel on my Instagram right now. Yes, I was talking about sports, everyone. You thought it couldn't and perhaps shouldn't be done.
But John's such an ally that, like, when he talks about and or goes to sporting events, like, it's always women's sports. It's like female athletes.
I like men's sports. I just don't tend to watch them very often. But I like football.
I'm just saying,
I watch men's sports.
You know?
You are a true...
I guess a lot of my viewers are between ages of 25, 34,
let it be said. It's
35,
on my Wikipedia
44, 45,
also, can I just mention one thing I do
50 and older,
it's the
60s,
thing,
80s.
But it's like, you know,
I thank all my
we're all
subscribers.
sick of digital stuff I say into a camera live
thank you all.
the internet that you're
New York,
watching
California.
Right.
So over the
all
weekend,
of you all watching. Thank you.
We have a doorknob that, like, you turn it to where it's done, and then you go to open it, and the door didn't open. It just doesn't.
He's leaving my house. I always
got
to keep track on this.
Turn it until it's done. It doesn't go like, uncle,
uncle. What the heck?
But anyway, so I dismantled it, and I lubricated all the parts, and I put it back together.
Lubricated those parts.
I'm gonna say the door's broken. No, it's like butter. It was just such a satisfying thing to do.
Dude.
I called up Diddy, and I was like, dude, send me some lube. And I just squirted it right into the doorknob. And
what a
I
pun.
know we have a lot to talk about. I just want to say, it's super satisfying. Get out there and do something in the physical world.
Francesca's face.
I was trying to say everyone lube their knobs, and that was a perfectly sexual joke. And then you had to bring Diddy into it, and suddenly now my mind is on sex trafficking. So you did that, John. It was a perfect
joke.
Those
two things now to be combined. Anyway, okay, everybody, we do have a lot to talk about. We have a million interesting things, so we're going to jump into that in just a second. The like button if you're on a platform where that's a thing that you can do as we launch.
I'm going to like right now. I like the start of this. And now we've got a commercial, so we're just going to like, get through that, blah, 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 and...
Crooked Joe Biden became mentally impaired, sad. But lying Kamala Harris, honestly, I believe she was born that way. There's something wrong with Kamala. And I just don't know what it is, but there is definitely something missing. And you know what? Everybody knows it. Knows it.
No, I don't. Most of the people in the background of your shot didn't seem super won over by it. There was like one woman is like she gave you a clap.
Yeah, she did. I confirm. I saw that.
We're gonna go through all the crazy
she was
things
like,
he said over the weekend, but that's a big
that's
one.
wearing a big old Trump American Eagle spread flag. I'm an NRA fan for Second Amendment rights. Anyway,
mentally impaired in some way. But
no,
for what it says about him,
he
his
is,
own, you know, perhaps unconscious knowledge of the state of his brain, and certainly his knowledge of the state of the election, where he desperately wishes he was going up against Joe Biden.
Oh,
he
he
does.
does.
A single speech without projecting that.
Oh,
literally
trust
no
me.
one who is not like buried in MAGA hats right now is looking at anything
I know
about
a few
Kamala Harris
channels
is doing it or saying and thinking. The issue with her is that she's mentally impaired and was born that way. She's a person who was born with a mental difficult. No, nobody thinks that. He's tweeting, there's something wrong with Kamala. I just don't know what it is, but there is something missing. Like, this dude is just trying to vision board his way into a competitive race that he doesn't have the capacity or the knowledge or the will to produce in a way that makes any sense.
I haven't watched him.
What other Republicans thought about this, but Francesca,
this is the Marine rapper.
Do you feel sad for him at this
He's
point?
into the MAGA.
I love how he's like, help me come up with a conspiracy. I'm all fresh out. I don't know what it is. I can't say she's black, into trouble, even though I didn't know she was black. I can't say she's a woman. But like all of his followers were like, she's a black woman.
Seth and Key Media,
wrong.
they're in the MAGA cult.
Oh.
They'll say they're not, but they are.
She's an alien. Like what? You know why you're and how you're ginning up, hatred of her. But I think more broadly, as we are less
of their
than
stuff, and I know I'm rude. I'm cutting into her. Let me back this up just a little bit. It's a very long segment that they did, but
and that was a perfectly sexual joke. And then you had to bring...
Before he plays the clip for Trump, I'm just pointing out once again, these two channels here, Seth and Key Media Reacts, which you can't really see in clear detail, but you can see it right there. It's S.E.T and KEY Media Reacts. They do the same thing that I'm doing on my channel, except they're endorsing Donald Trump. They're endorsing the conspiracy theories. They're trying to prove that Donald Trump didn't start the insurrection, which, again, for the record, I will tell them, and I will say this because I'm not bad-mouthing them, I know Donald Trump didn't start an insurrection. I wish I could talk to these guys on this cast and get the facts out. The facts are is that Trump didn't do enough. He didn't do enough. Same thing with all the gun violence in his time when he was president. Not that I'm bashing him on gun violence. Joe Biden's had gun violence during his presidency. Is Joe Biden doing enough? Actually, he's doing a lot more than Trump ever did. And let's talk about the fact that, Nancy Pelosi, she's responsible. Seth and Key, they talked about the fact she didn't do enough to call the National Guard, and she even took responsibility. She even confessed. You guys can look it up. Nancy Pelosi, who confessed she took responsibility for not calling in the National Guard. So who's responsible for the police deaths? Now, what's wrong with Seth and Key? They said that there were no police who died during that whole insurrection. That's a lie. I know there is, because there were full-blown testimonies at the Capitol, and a lot of people in America saw it. Go check out their channel. Watch a segment of their whole 6-hour and 31, 15-second long full thing, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. There's nothing but conspiracy spewed nonsense coming from them. The only channel I haven't seen, and by the way, I support what they're doing. They have a right to speak their own mind who they want to vote for, but we're going to get back into this because this is much more relevant. And I implore you to check the videos I post in the link where I react to that channel of that segment in my full 25-minute and 58-second reaction of what I'm talking about, because I cover a lot of details about who we really need to be worried about. Russia, China, those are the biggest threats to our country, and all this misconspiracy and hate, fear-mongering, and turning the right against the left and the left against the right, and the far extreme rightism and leftism. I cover everything in there as best as I can. I'm no expert. But also the Marine rapper, okay? he also has pushed these conspiracy theories, I suspect, and I feel. I'm not going to blame him for it, but he's probably pushing the same stuff. I'm going to watch his and do a live reaction to him, even though I haven't watched him yet, but I've seen him do a funny video that the Trump and the cats eats the cats and the dogs, and they got Trump in the background dancing with the cats and dogs. It's pretty funny and humorous. I can get down with it because it's freedom of speech. You know, it's nothing bad. It's nothing bad. Anybody could like it. Anyway, we're getting back to John Iadarola and Mrs. Francesca talking about... Sorry, not Francesca. It is after his little segment. Hear this damaging info, and this is what John Iadarola, and this is right after his little speech. He's talking, which I was talking over, so we're going to get into this.
Most of the people in the background of your shot didn't seem super won over by it. There was like one woman is like,
yep, she was like,
she gave you a clap, a pity clap. So that's Donald Trump.
Yeah, I witnessed it. It was actually,
he said over the weekend, but that's a big one.
That's what she did. Down
Not
low.
Because it's an attack that truly matters. Him now repeatedly claiming that Kamala Harris is mentally impaired in some way.
I'll say it again. No, she's not.
But for what it says about him, his own, you know, perhaps unconscious
and I like
knowledge
how John
of the state of his brain,
talks with
and
his hands.
certainly his knowledge of the state
Are you Italian,
of the
John?
election, where he desperately wishes he was going up against
See my video?
Joe Biden.
I hope you answered that.
He can't get through a single speech without projecting that.
Are you part Italian?
Literally no
I'm
one
part Italian.
who is not, like, buried in MAGA hats right now is looking at anything about what Kamala Harris is doing and or saying and thinking, the issue with her is that she's mentally impaired and was born that way. She's a person who was born with a mental difficulty. No, nobody thinks that. He's tweeting, there's something wrong with Kamala. I just don't know what it is, but there is something missing. Like,
you know what's interesting?
Is just trying to
that was on
his way
S.E.T. and Key Media last night when they were talking about it. That exact thing, that same rhetoric was coming out of their channel.
Other Republicans thought about this, but Francesca, do you feel sad for
and I had
at this point?
actually cut into their channel a little bit late, but anyway.
How did we come up with a conspiracy? I'm all fresh out. I don't know what it is. I can't say she's black into trouble, even though I didn't know she was black. I can't say she's a woman. But like all of his followers are like, she's a black woman. That's what's wrong. Oh, what? Oh, we're not. Oh, I mean, she's an alien. Like what? You know why you're and how you're ginning up, you know, hatred of her. But I think more broadly, as we are less than 40 days out from the election, it's important to know that Republicans
less
are
than
not
40
trying
days
anymore. Donald
from the
Trump
election.
is not trying. He's simply trying to get the most psychotic base, but he's already it's already been in his pocket.
Oh yeah, it has.
At this point, they are pivoting, and they're pivoting to voter suppression. They're pivoting to Republican-controlled election boards, like in Georgia and other states. That is how they're pivoting. They're pivoting to voter purging. So that's where we're at, people. Make no mistake, this is terrifying.
Don't forget voter discrimination.
The brainworms are on such full display. Just
Thank you.
Fully
Brainworms.
You know, with like, you know,
one of my favorite YouTubers.
Little tights and everything.
Leon Lush.
It really means that he has stopped trying to win over voters, and they're now moving towards when can we start whining about
job there,
the
Francesca.
steal, and or when can we just
Francesca.
steal?
Saying it correctly.
You're 100% right. It is super sad. Like, if you're a MAGA person, you should be so embarrassed, secondhand embarrassment for him that he's given up and that he's not even trying to win. You're 100% right. He's thinking, okay, what would people have to believe is true to think it's impossible for her to win? Okay, she has mental issues. All of her crowds are fake. Nobody actually, like, just say all of those. Don't try to win over voters. Don't come up with like a new policy or a new ad, or don't do it because it's not going to work. You don't have any faith in yourself. So just say that stuff. And it's so sad. Dude, you got busted up so bad in the debate by someone that apparently has been laboring for decades with severe mental difficulties. So what does that say about you? But anyway, you know, we were going to give the Republican responses. They're not gonna condemn him for that, obviously.
No, they
Lindsey
won't.
Graham is like, well, she has bad policy. That's what he means. He means her policies. And Stephen Chung, his spokesperson, is like, well, he's saying that her record on immigration means that she's unfixed. No, that's not at all.
No, I'm not going to endorse the comment section.
And more importantly, none of you believe that any of that is true.
That's right.
You're lying, and it's sad.
Yeah.
But that said,
the comment section is saying that Donald Trump's trying to incite the next insurrection with his claims to create the new purge.
This is a new policy.
This is the new one.
Cops get to kill everyone, I suppose. Let's roll this.
Originally, you saw kids walk in with calculators. They were calculating. They didn't want to go over the $950. They're standing
doing
with
this.
calculators, adding it up. You know, these are smart people. They're not so stupid, but they have to be taught. Now, if you had one really violent day, like a guy like Mike Kelly, put him in charge. Congressman Kelly, put him in charge for one day.
Put him in charge for one day.
Mike, would you say, he's right here.
Right here.
He's a great congressman. Would you say, Mike, that if you were in charge, you would say, oh, please, don't touch them. Don't touch them. Let them rob your store. All these stores go out of business, right? They don't pay rent. The city doesn't have it's a chain of events.
The camera zooms in on him.
One rough hour, and I mean real rough.
Trump's just...
The word will get out, and it will end immediately. End immediately.
That was Trump. That was his hands semi like that.
This is where I talk
Oh man, another commercial. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're back away from the cooking ads.
Because I'm assuming that at this point, coming out of the weekend, you probably don't need me to bring up the Purge comparisons. Pretty much everyone has. It's all over CNN at this point. But
yeah, it's blown up. I haven't even checked in on CNN.
If we just have a day or an hour in which the cops can just do whatever. I'm not going to say what, but it's going to be really rough. Like, it's going to strike me. Donald Trump is particularly brutal. Think about that. Well, then, yeah, we'll be fine at that point. And so, yeah, criminals should face absolutely brutal violence, and then they'll learn. Sorry, certain types of criminals, of course. If you shoplift or whatever, because we're laboring under this delusion that shoplifting is at way higher levels than it was 5 years ago, which is just not the case, then yeah, you should be beaten, maybe killed. Maybe some of you will be killed by cops. But if you're like a CEO of a corporation, you've been engaging in billions of dollars worth of wage theft, I have a feeling the cops probably will not crack your skull open. They're not going to bash your skull against a wall or something, because obviously it's way more theft. But of course, it's not that sort of criminal that we're talking about here. It's someone who steals, like a mug or something. You can kill them potentially, and that'll send a message. But CEOs should continue to rob you. With the difference being, of course, that the people cheering in the audience there are the ones being robbed by the CEO.
Yes.
And he is very conveniently
saddest thing about Trump supporters
away from that, Francesca. And so, I don't know, where do you want to go with this? The fact that this is like one of the most openly
Francesca, let's get into it,
calls to arms that I've seen from a politician literally in American history. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think both of those points are really well taken. I just felt like he was describing his sex life, one rough hour and it'll be over immediately. That's what you're promised, and then it's over. But yeah, this is basically a call to the Donald Trump brown shirts. This is a stand back, stand by moment. This is if any protests happen to break out, say because the police, once again, murder an unarmed American,
African-American,
then you have the right
Indian,
to go shoot them.
Asian,
and we've
Korean,
seen that.
Filipinian,
we might be talking
Haitian,
about Rittenhouse a little bit later, but we've
exclusively
already seen
as
that
of late.
vigilantism in practice. And so here you have it, and here we're being gaslit and told that the rhetoric on the left is just as violent. When Donald Trump is asking for extrajudicial, take justice into your own hands, every overweight MAGA man putting on some spandex and being his own neighborhood Batman, that's what he's asking for. I mean, they really do. They have the costumes and everything. I mean, it's mostly khakis and gaiters around their faces. But again, it gets worse.
Not wrong.
Under Donald Trump.
He does.
He has promised very excitedly violence. He has stirred up images and encouraged people to commit violence against shoplifters. Guys, we're not even talking about what would justify this. It's not like he's going after rapists and criminals and pedophiles. You might actually have to look at some of his his Rolodex in the past. And himself. No. It's shoplifters. Heaven forbid someone steal mascara and or diapers and or baby formula because they can't afford it. It's that's the same thing. And you're saying you sort of mentioned wage theft, but there's something even more direct, which is last year Walgreens admitted that they overinflated shoplifting numbers despite the fact that they were just simply shrinking. They just weren't meeting their quotas. They had bought up every effing corner, put out out of business every mom and pop shop.
I mean,
and
makes
then
sense.
They expanded too quickly, and they had to, roll it back. And
I
of
mean,
course,
shit,
in order
they're
to
everywhere in
their
Florida.
CEO
Walgreens is everywhere.
They're going to shut down a few franchises, put some people out of work, and make it harder to get goods.
This actually makes perfect sense.
That's what it
they
was.
pretend
I learned something new.
Reasoning is shoplifting, but it's not, and they've admitted it.
Thank you, Francesca.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you for teaching me about Walgreens corruption.
By the way, if you go into a Walmart and you steal an item, that's theft. If they price gouged you for years, that's not theft. I just want to be very clear about how theft works in these environments. But no,
you can't take something and not pay for it, but
the
the place can charge you whatever the heck they want for it.
Next to you, because they have tracked
too little
your
of something
mobile
for the
orders.
same
They've
price,
tracked your
lighter
behavior.
amount of something you want to pay
We talked
for,
about this on
that
my
you
show,
used to
the
get more
Situation Room.
of for less
That's
price.
totally legal for them to do those price gouging schemes that are that are simply robbery.
Yeah, 100%. No, they've been jacking up the numbers. They've been and one of the
it's not the Democrats.
Like in Texas,
it's these
like
wealthy corporations.
They said you can steal up to $950. They'll get
Mega mobile billionaire companies.
And they do that. Like yes, a threshold was set beyond which it's now.
I know because I can look online, look at Amazon, look at Walgreens, look at Walmart, look at Publix in Florida for where I'm at.
Those states. Just California
it's ridiculous.
Initiated new ones that were more stringent than the. But again, you don't hear that because it's convenient.
And nobody wants to be paying the California extreme prices, or in New York for that matter.
Trump's communications director says President Trump has always been the law and order president. He was calling for an hour or a day of violence. Remember that he gets 1 day of being a dictator, and the cops get 1 day of the purge. That's totally constitutional. That's what all that is about. Every person in the employ of Donald Trump.
I'm going to pause him.
Constantly conjure up a fictional.
What John Iadarola is saying here, when he's saying Trump gets to be a dictator on day one, and the cops can go do the purge. Trump isn't really literally saying he's going to be a dictator, and I know John Iadarola is not really meaning that he thinks Donald Trump's going to try to even become like a successful, could-be wannabe dictator. Right now, I've got him frozen like this. He's like in the video. You guys can see it. The reality is, with as long as this is, I like to try to disprove certain theories and things that even I agree with, because I get down to the facts, even though I'm not a famous person. I'm just an average, everyday American doing what some people don't even want to do. Just speak their mind and speak their voice. He is right about this on the damage report. John Iadarola is 100% right. He is factually right about the whole fact that there is no guarantee proof that Donald Trump is trying to prove to become a dictator. Even on Seth and Key, S.E.T and Key Media, they even know that Donald Trump is not trying to become a dictator on day one or start the purge. But in reality, he did incite certain words and certain language that is questionable, that does incite the fact that he's encouraging that law-abiding MAGA people can do what they got to do to put an end to the problem, to cure these crime-related situations in our country. And his point is right on point with a lot of what Americans feel right now, which you should definitely watch the damage report. He's coming out with a lot of good consensus things that we think about every day in our common sense, but we don't go running with the crazy thoughts like a lot of these far right-wing people do. And that's what the damage report really breaks down, is the truth behind the truth. So Donald Trump is not going to be trying to become a dictator on day one. His own supporters, however, are not too far from thinking those crazy thoughts and taking that into their own hands. So just remember that with your family members. Not like every one of them is crazy enough to do this, but there are some who will. Now let's continue.
Candidate that he is not and cannot be, but they really wish he was, because then they could win and get their tax cuts. And then they just talk about this fictional thing that they made up. Maybe it's like a chat bot that they go to feel better about their lot in life. And then meanwhile, Donald Trump is undercutting literally all of it.
Blow this up bigger.
That got really serious. I want to have a little bit of fun at Donald Trump's expense. And so Donald Trump recently has been trying to spin this narrative that Kamala Harris's brain has something wrong with it.
They don't want to read the chat anymore.
The issue with him spinning that narrative is that he does it by talking, and when he does that,
no offense to the chat,
it doesn't tend to go very well.
I'm here to watch John Iadarola.
Oh, there's a fly. Oh, I wonder where the fly came from. See, 2 years ago, I wouldn't have had a fly up here. You're changing rapidly. I tell you what, I had a good life before I did this.
Because you're covered
Nobody
in
was shooting at me.
smelly orange
I
mascara.
had a hell of a life. Oh, those locations, those
Attracting
beautiful.
flies.
I could have been
Forgot to shave.
sunbathing on the beach. You have never seen a body so beautiful.
I get flies flying around me, and it's not intentional. But I don't wear orange colors.
Sleepy Joe.
Oh, Sleepy Joe, really? And the fact he made the shots that he's not getting shot at.
Unfortunately, nobody knows what that is.
Now we're talking about him in Pennsylvania.
What's a Marxist? Is that a good thing
Marxist.
or bad? I said, I
he's
have
talking
to use
about.
the word communist, okay?
Can't use the word communist, so he's going to use Marxist.
They have a phone app so that people can come into
now
our
he's in
country.
Wisconsin.
These are smart immigrants, I guess, because most people don't have any idea what the hell a phone app is. But they
yeah, we do.
These are very intelligent immigrants.
You don't know what phone apps are. What world you living in, Trump?
Look, I know that it's my job at this point to make fun of him, and don't worry, I'm going to. But, like, what the hell is even going on with this? I mean, look, the one thing about the body was a joke or whatever, although, as Francesca pointed out to me while we were listening to it,
Francesca.
It sounded like he was
That's her
going
name.
to
I keep
compare
saying
himself to Kamala
Francesca.
Harris,
It's
and he thought the better
Francesca.
of it. And again,
My apologies, Francesca.
Thought, well, wouldn't it
straightening it out now,
going
25
against
minutes into the video.
No, you're not going up against Joe. That's not the election. And
That's
so
right. You're not going up against JoJo, Mr.
app?
Trump.
Dude, you're on your phone like 18 hours a day. You don't know what a phone app is?
Really, Trump?
And then the Marxist thing. Like,
that's all you do is tweet.
Because nobody knows what it is.
Look at your phone. You know what phone apps are.
Know what it is. That doesn't stop them from using the term generally.
Oh, yeah.
I would love for people to know what it is, so they'll stop calling people who are not that. But anyway, yeah, and I don't even know what the fly thing was. I don't even know. Like,
honestly,
it's impossible to follow the strange conspiracy
I think it was because of his orange mascara, and it drips down him when he sweats, and the flies were attracted.
Look, my kid's almost 2, and she strings together words like she's like the T-1000 or whatever the Terminator thing is, where she'll be like saying all the words and all the phrases that she knows, but all jumbled up together, you know? And so it's like, it's just the cutest thing in the world. This is that, but for fascists, like a 2-year-old fascist who's just saying all the things that they know, but all jumbled together, and then being distracted by an actual fly. So I do think there was a fly in that auditorium. It suddenly made him sort of like take a hard look at his life and be like, I stink. This place is dirty.
She said it. She said what I predicted.
I'm being disrespected by a fly. I'm in Mike Pence territory. And I actually don't want to be here. And then he just is honest. Donald Trump is a terrible liar, so he's very honest.
This is true.
In these instances. And the audience is laughing. They think it's a joke. It's not. He doesn't want to be running. He doesn't want to be president. He wants to be Donald Trump. He wants to be a trademark, a rich playboy, heir. He wants to get a new wife, not Melania, but of course that would look terrible. You know, he wants to obviously live his truth with Laura Loomer. Like, he does not want to be president. And so, like, it's just amazing because, like, I can only imagine. I'm trying to put myself in MAGA's position. Like, if you're the guy you want to vote for is like, I don't want this. I didn't ask for this. I had a good life. What happened to my life? I'd be like, I mean, maybe you shouldn't run. Like, I'd be more concerned with him and also be concerned with me and my country and why the hell the guy who's running for the top job doesn't seem to want the top job.
Yeah. Yeah, the entire thing. Oh, God. I mean, look, so
it's hurting John Iadarolla's mind right now.
He's like, just because it's getting to such sad territory. But they put out this tweet. Most people don't have any idea what the hell a phone app is, which is good. I like.
Take a look at this meme.
At his expense. I'm just gonna, before we move on to finally, I'm going to say about him.
Kamala. That was Kamala's meme.
I don't think he's
Trump in a
getting
walker.
the enjoyment out of running that he used to.
The poor old man's body got used for Trump. Don't need that.
Like the damage that he can do if he becomes
I feel bad for
remains
the man in the photo.
What I'm about to say.
The man's body, the senior's body.
I don't think I have Trump
didn't deserve Trump's face on him.
I don't think he draws
and the walker behind him
anymore.
And the walker.
I don't think he enjoys being in those beautiful locations. I don't think he wants to lay on the beach. Anyway. I don't think he likes doing these rallies. I don't think he likes hanging out with his supporters or his family. I don't think any of it gives him any pleasure. I think that he is desperate to find the thing that he thinks will make him happy. Being president, not being in jail, getting, another $1 billion off of crypto. But I don't believe any of it will give him any pleasure, any enjoyment. And if there's any lesson to be drawn from this, don't live your life in any way inspired by the example of Donald Trump. Because there is
well
nothing
put,
good
John
that comes
Iadarolla. Well
but
put.
Anyway, why don't we talk about one last topic? Donald Trump being very honest about something that we all on some level know he feels. But let's take a look at it.
I know a lot about overtime. I'd hated to give overtime. I hated it. I'd get other people, I shouldn't say this, but I'd get other people in, I wouldn't pay. I hated. This is going to lead to a lot more. I think it's going to be economically positive.
Another ad. Hold on, guys. Okay, we're 3 seconds in from the life hack, and we're gonna skip this if the freaking mouse lets me get to the clicker. It just doesn't wanna. There we go.
Yeah, I have a feeling that was not in the teleprompter.
That was hard
about how inconvenient
to fight that.
it is to have
If
to
you guys
pay
had seen that, that was
people for
crazy.
working a whole
My mouse
lot
just
more than
wouldn't
normal.
go to the skip and
then, of
button.
course, he says, I bring other people in. I don't know exactly what that's a reference to.
I know what it means.
Something legal, maybe not something legal.
He just replaces workers and fires them quickly so he doesn't have to pay them for their work.
He doesn't like paying people for their work.
Yeah.
And
Not that I didn't know he was going to say that.
In front of a crowd of people who generally probably really rely
like,
on
you're getting close to overtime.
is a weird
You're
thing to
fired.
do. But let's also
I'll hire somebody
point out,
new.
who is actually surprised by this?
You're costing me too much.
There's two sides. There's the employees, and then there's the bosses.
Mm.
You're on one of those two sides. If you're on the boss side, you don't want to pay the employees, and you would gladly, if you could, replace them with robots or AI or goblins you find in the woods, whatever, anything that's Oompa Loompas. If you could, that is what you would do, because it sucks to have them steal your hard, not earned money from you. And so, of course, Donald Trump thinks that. Who's actually surprised by that? And if you're in MAGA, how have you sustained for even a microsecond over the last 10 years the idea that he has anything in common with you economically, or in any way has your best interest at heart?
Thank you, John Idarola. Thank you.
And that, I think,
Let's
is
hear
the
from
rub
her,
right
and then we're going to
He's
stop
always
this
been a fake
video
populist, and his base
and go to
at the
part
end
2.
of the day are actually fairly
It's a really long
comfortable.
interview.
They're middle to upper class. They might be managers themselves. Again, they're boat dads. They're people that got their PPP loans, you know, unlike most of us, because they had their small businesses. And this is him speaking to those folks. He represents the bosses. He represents the overlords. He represents all that entire class. I mean, he loves to decry Marxism, but Marxism is about understanding class stratification. It's about understanding the war that is being waged currently by the 1%, by the upper class against the working class.
So why is he using those
against
words?
The boss class,
it's
against the
offensive.
working class. And this is, you have it so laid bare for you. I mean, this to me is the thing that should be making headlines across news agencies.
Thank you.
Because here you have it so
Good way to finish this clip.
And the other thing
This
about
should be
this
making
that I
headlines.
find incredibly ironic
Trump's a
is
hypocrite for using
what
Marxism.
do bosses do when they hate, I don't know, labor unions, right? You know, Wither Sean O'Brien and the Teamsters, of course, not all Teamsters. But like, what do they do when they hate labor unions? What do they do when they're tired of paying overtime? They rely on more precarious workers. Who are those workers 9 times out of 10? They're immigrants. So this guy is not just obviously like a shameless, you know, 1% top hat MFer. He is also someone who has relied on immigrant labor, who does rely on immigrant labor, and who represents an entire class of people who love exploiting immigrant and especially undocumented immigrant labor. Hello, meat packing plants and all of the most dangerous jobs that exist in this country rely on immigrant labor. And so that's the
She's not spoon-feeding me this. I know this is true.
Thing that he's so see-through about.
You ain't gonna find no
again, I don't,
Americans
I think
making
it's
house
fine.
trusses.
You should embrace the fact that
loving
you
the
rely
pay.
on immigrant labor, but you should also then embrace workers' rights and not pit those things against one another. But if you are in the working class and you see the way he is openly just mocking you and your earned time and your money that you deserve for working, it's overtime is really serious. This is over 8 hours of your day. People working 12 hours. People barely have
I'm not
time
even working. I'm unemployed.
let alone eat.
So I feel for these people.
Family. A lot of people working on Saturdays. Like, come on.
I'm speaking out for you people out there working and busting your butt,
anymore, right?
sharing this content.
Like, this is your guy, and then he wants you to hate immigrants? No, absolutely not.
Right. Absolutely right, Francesca. Absolutely right.
Be such an inconvenience, like, to what really matters, which is the functioning of the business. Not you, not your family. Like, you're just, oh God, we have to give you a little bit of our money, a tiny little fraction, a nothing amount of our money. I hate it. How do you worship that guy?
All right.
Well, the last thing I'm going to say, John, it's really sad because even for the rich people who like Donald Trump, they think that they're going to be billionaires. These guys are like, oh, I'm going to be Elon Musk probably next week. No, you're not.
No,
even
you're
if you're
not.
making $500,000, even if you're a millionaire, you're so far from being a billionaire. You are so far. You have more to throw down with the working class and the middle class than you do with the 1%. Seriously, you're paying your fair share more so than the people who are richer than you are paying their fair share.
100%. We're going to take a short break.
Yeah, so they're going to take a short break. I'm going to say thanks for joining me for this first half segment. When they get back, we're going to do part 2. We're not going to watch, I'm not going to put you guys through watching any more of this other than what you've already heard in my reactions. 100% correct that Donald Trump's whole envisionment and where he places himself is so far from the closest point to you as the American worker. If you're voting for Trump, trust me, he's not sending a dime, a dollar, any breaks toward you. You can smile and think that he's all about you, but really what he's about is way beyond that of the Republican Party and less involved government. He's about all the people that have already bought out, controlled, gotten their dirty hands into our own American politics, into our physical world, overpowering even the rights and privileges of those who work and fight for their own hard-earned efforts. Even the people in Wall Street who've screwed over the little guy. Essentially, Donald Trump is against them. And you know what? And on the topic of what she just said, like with people trying to get to the top and trying to make money and profit, there are special ways you can get into earning your own profit by doing things just like I'm doing. So support my channel today. Appreciate what content I'm sharing with you. My live reaction as an American who's unemployed, who's reacting to true facts from very smart and knowledgeable talk show hosts on The Damage Report with John Iadarola and Francesca. Her last name, hold on a second. I want to make sure I say this correctly because I'm actually going to show it in this video at the end of this. Francesca Fiorenti, host of the Buccinelli Room. So I'm going to make sure I find her link in here, which I think she's in here. If I can find it. Let's see if I can find her channel. Copy, paste, duplicate.
Oh, you're not. Even if you're making $500,000.
Okay, we're not there yet. YouTube channel. Where's your channel? There, here we go. I'm subscribing to her right now. This is me showing it. Not that I'm in favor of just her and her alone, but I'm going to go ahead and subscribe. Here's me subscribing, Miss Francesca. Proud subscriber. Going to get into all this as she talks about women's, and I implore anybody following my channel, for all the women who see my channel, she's all about the ladies, getting on the facts, and straight up telling the truth about everything going on. And I've never even checked her channel, so there's a lot here. A lot of this is for members only, but I'm proudly now subscribed to her, and I'm going to give a special shout out to her and post that in the link so you guys can follow for those who want to be a part of her channel. As I'm just an American guy who's talking the facts. This is the bitchuation room. Doing a little female love out there, y'all. So thanks for watching, and I'm going to upload this now, and part 2 coming soon. Keep a lookout.